also the instructor Delonte, definitely make sure that any questions that you have does not go unanswered. Very genuine, very transparent, and really loves what he does. And that's one thing that I look for in a mentor.
This broadcast is brought to you by Bold People Get Rich. For more investing knowledge, be sure to visit www.bpgrinc.com.
Now sharing what he's learned with others by hosting courses on investment strategies.
To be able to pass that knowledge on to other people, it makes me feel like, I'm doing something that's valuable in life. This broadcast is brought to you by Bold People Get Rich. For more investing knowledge, be sure to visit www.bpgrinc.com.
First thing I want to let y'all know is you can start a trading account with as little as $10, all right? And if you're not greedy and trying to get into this and try to make a whole bunch of money really fast, you would understand that even getting into it with $10, maybe you may not make a lot of money, but you can begin to learn the markets with some skin in the game.
This broadcast
But what this lesson is about is, like I said, for the working person. You do not have to be in front of the computer to actually participate in the foreign exchange market. Did y'all know that? Did you know you don't have to actually press buttons to participate in the foreign exchange market? You don't always have to be in front of the screen.
This broadcast is brought to you by Bold People Get Rich. For more investing knowledge, be sure to visit www.bpgrinc.com.
Welcome to Markup Mondays, where every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we analyze the financial markets, educate the community on trading and investing, discuss world news and popular topics. I'm your host, Delonte Brady, Chief Analyst and six-figure earner with Bold People Get Rich, and here are some things you need to know about this broadcast. During the market analysis portion of this call, we often find areas in the market to trade or make our investments. To be updated on these entries, exits, and trade management, make sure you tap the 3 dots on my Facebook page and change following to favorites. This way, you'll never miss an update. To receive investment knowledge, exclusive deals, and updates, click the link tree in my bio and subscribe to our mailing list. If you're viewing this broadcast on YouTube, to be kept up to date, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. This is an event made for the people, by the people, and we love to hear your feedback and answer your questions during the show. So please feel free to comment as often as you like. Lastly, all forms of investing do involve risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Increasing leverage increases risk. Before deciding to trade in any financial market, you should carefully consider your financial objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. Any opinion, news, research, analysis, price valuation, or other information contained in this video does not constitute investment advice. No person or persons in this video is a financial advisor.
All right, welcome to Markup Mondays, everybody. Welcome to another Markup Mondays. Go ahead and drop where you're calling in from, the city that you're calling in from, and for tonight's topic of the day, on the strength of tonight's topic of the day, also drop the school system, the public school system that you came out of, or private school, and let us know what your alma mater is. All right, go ahead, let us know who's calling in. Need to know who's on the call, what city are you from, and what is your school district. All right, so tonight is going to be a controversial one. Like I said, I put up a controversial post a couple of days ago. I'm talking about a teacher down in Akron who basically disciplined a student, and I wanted to get everybody's opinion on it. I stated my stance on the situation, and we're really going to dive into it tonight. I have some panelists on the call. I'm going to bring them up. I tried to get as many different points of views as I could. I wasn't looking for just people who agreed with my stance on it. I also wanted to talk to the people who disagree with the stance, so that we can go back and forth and really raise awareness on an even bigger topic or a bigger subject. But we'll get into that. Before we get into the topic of the night, first, of course, we're going to go over the financial markets and the investment gem of the day. And I actually have a special guest on tonight. So you guys are always used to seeing me go over the news, mark up the charts and give my financial analysis. But I wanted to give my students an opportunity to shine, because it's not just me doing well in the markets. Okay, I have some students who are excelling on the charts. And this gentleman that I'm about to bring up, he's definitely proven to be a leader within our group. He helps out so much, posts every day. Is updating everybody on any news events that are going on. He even does some trainings, right, for the team. He's shown that he's been able to train. So I wanted to bring this gentleman up and really just allow him to shine and show all the hard work and everything that he's learned, and show it to the audience, right? Because like I said, it's not just me. It's not just me doing well in the markets. I have a lot of students who are excelling. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mies and Leo. What's going on, Mies? Can you hear me? He's definitely proven to be a leader.
How you doing?
Doing good. I think you got some reverb back there.
I could barely hear you.
Oh, okay. Are you good? Can you hear me now?
Maybe it's on my end that it's a little low.
Can everybody who's tuning in, can you hear me loud and clear? Am I okay? Is my volume okay? Just drop a 1 if you can hear me clearly. All right, but Mies, if you can hear me, okay, everybody. So they said they can hear me. So can you hear me now, Mies?
I can barely hear you. It's like a low on my end. I don't know why.
Okay, well, I gave everybody the spiel on you, man. I'm about to let you have the floor. Go ahead and do your thing.
All right, cool. All right, what's happening, everybody?
All right, it looks like Mies may be having some technical difficulties. He wasn't able to hear me, kind of disappeared there. We'll give him a couple seconds to come back on, And if he doesn't come back on, I'll give my analysis for the night on EU.
Okay.
All right, you back with us?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. How do I share my chart on here?
All right, you see at the bottom you got share.
It's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Front camera. Yeah, my bad for the technical difficulties, y'all. Cam, that's wrong.
No, you okay? So you
I have
got
no
Cam,
idea what I'm doing. I am not tech savvy, y'all.
and then next to that it should say share next to Cam.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, coach.
Yep.
I know what you say.
Oh no, it should say share right down there at the bottom.
Yeah, it don't say share.
Don't say share. All right.
Only thing I got is a mic, cam, mic, chat, and lead.
Okay, got you. So this is what we'll do. We'll work with it. We'll just work on the go. So what I'll do, I can pull up your chart, or I can pull up the pair that you were going to analyze and just walk me through it, and I'll go ahead and mark it up for you. All right, you said UCAD?
ACAD.
ACAD? Okay.
Yep. Why can't I hear you? Yep, I'm here. You there, bro? Oh, there we go.
All right, you said UCAD or ACAD?
Yeah, ACAD, yep. And then we can go over the news for the week.
Okay, we can do that first. Let me.
You want to do that part first?
Yep.
You said what, bro?
Give me a quick second. Okay.
They said we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. There we go.
All right, boom. Calendar.
Yep, and we're looking at for ACAD, the news that we would pay attention to is the Aussie, the Aussie dollar, the Canadian dollar, and I will look at the US dollar as well, because that sometimes affects ACAD. So it's important to keep an eye on that as well.
Right, boom. So we got all of those. We got EU on there. We got AUD and the United States dollar and the Canadian dollar.
You got to put the Canadian dollar on there too.
Yep, it's on there.
Okay, cool. All right. So obviously we'll be taking keeping a close eye on all of the orange folder and red folder news throughout the week. That's what's going to have caused the market to move in our pair. So we got to keep an eye on that, right? So, what's this? On tomorrow, we got crude oil in the U.S. and then we got late Aussie news. So that usually comes about later in the day during the Sydney. So we got to check them out. Tonight or tomorrow, rather, we should have some decent movement in the market. I know Wednesday we have a lot of news, so we should have some good movement in the market on Wednesday. So that's probably going to be our best trading day for this period of the week. All right, and then we all got to keep in mind too, this time of year during the holidays, the markets aren't themselves. They tend to run a little awkward. It's like they're not the same this time of year, so you got to keep that in mind too. So if you are going to trade, use proper risk. All right, so like I said, Wednesday we got a bunch of news on Wednesday, and I really would just keep my eye on all of it. Thursday, I don't think we have too much news. I don't believe so for our pairs. Nor Friday, I don't think we have a lot of news. So we have a lot of USD news, but not a lot of Aussie and Canadian news. So Wednesday will probably be our best trading day throughout the week. We're going to have a lot of volatility on Wednesday. So you can mark up your charts, and then for that high percentage trade, we want to do high probability setups. Pay attention to Wednesday.
Right. Right now, I can bring up your pair, ACAD. AUDCAD, right?
Yeah, I wish I could share my chart.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Mies?
Huh?
Can you hear me? I said AUDCAD, right?
You want to do it through yours? I still don't have that share screen on mine.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do it through mine.
Okay.
Yep. So is it an exchange you prefer? Owanda, FXCM, Forex.com?
I do FX choice.
FX choice.
Yep. FXCM.
Yep. So boom, here we go.
Yes, sir.
Just let me know what time frame you want me to start out on.
Yep. So we are currently on overall downtrend in the market, but where the price is currently at, or where it bounced up from, I would like to take a buy actually. So that's my overall direction. So if it comes back down to, hold on a second here. Yeah. So on a 4-hour chart, I will look to sell from the institutional candle at 0.9173. I'll tell you the exact day. It's November 23rd at 1 a.m. on the 4-hour chart. Yeah, November 23rd at 1 a.m.
Looking right so far?
I would like to sell from there.
Right.
Yep. And to make things, I believe that the market will push it up there tonight from level. It's an institutional candle at 0.9111, and that was created today at 9 a.m. That would be buying up to that area.
Okay, so this is where you want to see the market come down to.
Yeah.
First. All right, so that's your buy zone and your sell zone.
Yes, sir.
All right, and is that it?
Just to keep things short and sweet, yeah. On the 4-hour, I would like to dig into the 15, but to keep things short and sweet, these are the zones that I would like to sell and buy from.
Okay, I like it. Look good to me, especially that sell zone. I really like that sell zone.
I like the sell zone actually more because we're in an overall downtrend. So on that sell zone, you can collect a good 20 pips. But if you want to put your stop loss in profit and just let it ride down, I believe that it's going to create a lower low.
Right. So, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, 20 pips. That's like, because more than likely it's going to go a lot further than that. We did a 1-1. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and review the buy area that Mies called out for us. We got Buy level tonight in between
Yep.
0.91055 and
Yep.
0.9111. Sell zone in between price level, let's say 0.91730
Yep.
and 1 point or 0.91950.
I will probably put my stop right above those wicks though. That's over there. Right above those high. Yep. I'll put my stop there.
All right, so stop loss above the high, guys. Stop loss above the high. Boom. And what I'll do is I'll screenshot this and I'll post it on my page so everybody can see it, just in case nobody got it.
Yeah, then let's see how we do.
All right, good stuff. Like I said, I like that analysis. Does anybody have any questions for me? Before Mees cuts out on us, does anybody have any questions for me?
Hey, and give me a second. I got a slight delay. So I can hear y'all. I got like a 5 second delay.
Okay, got you. All right.
Anybody had any questions?
No, we
No
are
questions.
good to go. Appreciate you, brother. Looking forward to that trade, seeing that trade play out. Like I said, I feel real good about that sale.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother. Looking forward to that trade. All right, Mees, I see you in the chat.
All right. I appreciate it, man.
All right, no problem. Appreciate you.
Right on, bro.
All right, now let's go ahead and get into it. We got the rest of the hour to talk about tonight's topic. So like I said, I brought some panelists on, and what I want to do is, just in case you don't know, I'm going to give you guys some background. And as we go into this, go ahead, if you haven't already, share this live, because I want as many people to tune into this as possible, because I want to hear as much feedback as possible. So go ahead, share this live with the quote or the caption: would you allow, another adult to discipline your child? Would you allow another adult to discipline your child, right? And to give you guys a background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you what I posted yesterday and then the responses that I got. The responses are really what inspired me to make this the topic of the night, because I see a problem. Honestly, I see a problem. I see a disconnect, and I think it's something that we need to talk about. So give me a quick second. All right, so let's go ahead and go to Facebook. And so this is the post that I put up. And you guys can see what my caption was. Now, I did not know all of the background. I did not know all of the background. I didn't know all of the details. I just knew my stance on the meaning behind what I seen. All right, so Boyce Watkins, he put up this post and he made this meme. He said, student cussed that principal of LeBron's school, so she slapped him. The child's mother called the police. Now, some of this, it can be it's taken at face value. It's only a few words here. All right, so she slapped him, and of course, a lot of people want to know. Well, some people wanted to know, well, how did she slap him? All right, and some people had inside information, and they were saying that she drew blood. But let's look at these comments. I really want to look at these comments. So some people agree the elder did exactly what they were supposed to. The village mentality has been crippled for years. All right, that was Quentin. And if you see anybody that you know, feel free to tag them. All right, we had Dolores, who is one of the elders, saying when she was growing up in the neighborhood took care of all the children. Together they were able to reprimand us. And when our parents found out about what we had done, they reprimanded us also. All right, and really the way that I grew up as well. Kendra, my daughter, a student, as well as her fellow classmates, would agree, right? Peach Sibley, she says, so what? She shouldn't have put her hands on him, right? Nope, don't put your hands on my child. That is for me to do. I handle the discipline of my child. I do not care how well loved the person is. I should have been the first phone call so I can dole out the punishment. Absolutely not. Because if someone touched my kids, we all will have a problem, right? The parents need to be reparented. I actually like that. Now I will say she could have chosen another form of discipline. But this post was shared like 32 times, and I think it's going to continue to be shared because it's a sensitive topic. And like I said, it's something that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to bring people on, and I wanted to get all views, all right, and not just focusing on Brandy. We can talk about what Miss Davis, what happened with that situation, you know, the knowns, the unknowns, but I don't want that to overshadow the meaning behind what she did, right? And what community and what the village, right? It takes a village to raise a child, and we've gotten away from that. And that's really what I want to talk about tonight. So the first person that I want to bring on, this is an elder. He's definitely he's one somebody that I consider an elder, somebody who's very wise, and he has his point of view. He's actually from a place or is a part of a village, like really, and I'm really looking forward to hearing his insight on this. But ladies and gentlemen, if you could help me welcome Vince Robinson. Vince, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you well. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I hear and see you well.
Okay.
How are you doing, Vince?
I'm doing well and looking forward to conversation with you after the conversation we had this morning.
Kind of breaking up, Vince. I don't know if that's my Wi-Fi or if that's you. You were kind of breaking up there. You're kind of freezing up.
Yeah, my router is in the same room that I'm in, so I don't know if it's a signal issue, but I do have Spectrum. Spectrum has been problematic for a while, so
yeah.
Claims this.
Okay, we'll work with it. Do the best that we can. So, talking to you, you know, this morning, having the conversation that we had this morning. I don't know if you froze up. Still with me, Vince?
No, yes.
Okay. So the conversation, based on the conversation that we had this morning, you know, agree and disagree with, you know, the stances because you were saying it was so many variables. So what first, let me ask you, what is your stance on what you read? Based on what you know about the situation down there that happened at the I Promise school, what is your opinion on that?
So the news that I looked at a few different ones. I looked at one in the New York Post. I looked at another couple of them, and they really didn't have a lot of details about what happened. So we don't really know what happened. You know, the child could have been injured for some other reason. You know, the facts just aren't clear enough to make a logical conclusion on whether or not it was appropriate. But I think that the thing that troubles me is resorting to calling the police as opposed to having a conversation with a person before you go there. I think we rush to call the police and involve them in our issues. And that speaks to a failure of us to police ourselves. You know, the conversation we had this morning was about the way they deal with that in a real African village. And the Africans need the police to police them because they police themselves. And that's what we should do. You know, I don't know how severe his injury was, but, you know, could someone lose their job over something like that? I don't know. I shared with you this morning, I was in the 6th grade, the teacher that struck me with a paddle for something that I didn't do, you know, and it was really the kind of thing that you resent for a long time in life. I'm aware of other situations where something has happened to someone in my family. It was something that should have been reported to police, and it wasn't. And as a result of that, person who injured someone that is close to me didn't pay for that. You know, this young lady is going to have to pay for the rest of life for a trauma that occurred to her. And in that situation, police were appropriate, but what happened was the school didn't want it to become an issue, and the parents didn't want it to become an issue, so they left it alone and it wasn't adjudicated properly. So I think you have to look at each situation on a case-by-case basis and deal with all the facts before you draw a conclusion. He was a founding school, and it's really tragic for all of the things that have happened in 4 years to culminate in something like this. Now, I'm not going to say it was a minor incident, because that child traumatized for the rest of his life about what happened. We don't know. But all I'm saying is that we should not always rush to the police to solve our issues and to mediate. There are countless examples of people calling police and somebody ending up dead that didn't need to be dead because the police come and they're not really equipped to deal with certain kinds of situations. You know, we have these conversations about defunding the police, and people get all up in arms because, oh, that means they're going to have fewer police officers. Well, why do we have to have so many police officers? In certain situations, when the police come, already happened. And what their role is to investigate and perhaps sometimes bring someone to justice, but they're not staffed to the extent that they can all. So how many unsolved homicides are there? How many unsolved robberies are there? They're all things that police aren't really effectively dealing with. So calling the police perhaps is not the best idea. And personally, based on what I was able to read, I don't know if that was quite the move. And I don't know that this woman should have had her post. I mean, she was a principal in a school that has international renown. And what happens after something like this is people look at that whole situation negatively and then negate all of the positive things that have come forth from this school being there. And the fact of the matter is, we are more responsible for the education. Another thing that we need to consider is the parenting. Now, I don't know the woman, and I'm not going to disrespect her saying that she's a bad parent or whatever. And I'm not going to say, you know, definitively that she did the wrong thing. She had a reason, I suppose, wanting to involve the police. But what has happened? The woman who was alleged to have slapped this child was not arrested for assault, not going through any kind of adjudication. There may be a civil lawsuit at some point if some lawyer gets a hold of this and decides we might be able to get paid, because that's what's going to happen. The lawyer is going to about a piece of a settlement for himself. If it goes to trial, he'll get even more, because you get more as an attorney when something goes to trial. So maybe it'll be an out of court, and if it goes that way, it could be a jury trial, whatever. We don't know. But I'll just come back to the idea that we need to have conversations and we need to let discipline. Another thing that we talked about this morning is the fact that discipline in schools has changed. There are many of my colleagues who went to high school here in Cleveland. I didn't go to school in Cleveland. I was in Massillon for 2 years as a high schooler and a couple years when I was in elementary school. But back in the day, you know, that was seen to be appropriate. I mean, there was some of my classmates who would brag about the fact that the paddle was long and it had 3 or 4 holes in it. And, you know, it was really intended to punish. Well, you know, we know that some of that corporal punishment in a school system is inappropriate, especially if you look at the lasting effects of that type of punishment on a child. And the child of today is a little bit different from the child in the past. Children today have access to so much information. They have a much greater awareness of society and the things that go on in this world. When I was in school, we had shows on television like the Dick Van Dyke Show. And Laura Petrie shared a bedroom, but they slept in separate beds. So you're not going to draw any conclusions about the possibility that at any time they slept in the same bed. But later on in the season, there might be a child born. So Laura Petrie might have a child. Well, how did that happen? We don't know. Well, children today, they know. All they have to do is turn on a television set. They'll see men and women sleeping together. They'll see women and women having sex. They'll see men and men having sex. They see it all. So we can't treat children the way we did years ago. Things have changed. There's gender fluidity. There's a whole lot of other issues. That's why I said there are multiple layers to this. But, just using the village concept, we should be policing ourselves and not depending on others who come from outside our neighborhoods into our neighborhoods to create or to, enforce the whole notion of law and order.
Right, absolutely. And to backpedal, to that about the police being called, that was something that I disagreed with as well. I had put that in my post. And my thing with that is all the parents who were saying, they were actually saying, I would have went up there myself and did this, da, 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 da. And, nobody needs to be touching my child, this and that. Why is it, though, that when the police get to whooping on us or whooping on the kids, where is that energy? Why is it that you can go attack a lady or a staff member at a school, but we're not attacking the police? We're not attacking the people who are attacking us, really, right, with malintent. I believe even if what happened at that school with Miss Davis and that student, even if it was a little too hard, if it wasn't hard, if it was backhand, if it was across the face, I do not believe it was with malintent. I don't believe it was with malintent, and I believe it was in a form of discipline. And nobody thought to ask, who were the witnesses? What do the children think that witnessed it? What do the children think at the school who know Miss Davis and who know this student? The people in the village, what do they think about what's going on? Somebody said, James Buffer, he said, I believe that parents nowadays are too prideful. Yes, there's another topic I wanted to touch on. Being too prideful, and I've seen it myself. And I understand. Nobody wants to be seen as a bad parent. But the truth is, I know for a fact that being a parent can be tiring, especially with today. A lot of parents are working sometimes 2 jobs. They're dealing with their bosses at work. They're dealing with racism. Then they're worried about paying the bills and all this stuff going on every day. We start with a full bar of energy, and by the end of the day, by the time they get home, that energy is low. And the energy that they would use to discipline their child, maybe they let some stuff go. And that's why we need a village. Where's the kid at? Where are our children at a majority of the time? Coming up in school. If we're at work, they're at school. We see them a couple hours before they head out to school. They're spending the most of their time with the teachers, right? With the coaches. So that is the village. And I think there's a disconnect in communication and relationship between the parent and the staff, because when the parents knows the staff and the staff knows the parent, that creates a whole different dynamic for the child. And I know that for a fact because I experienced the same thing. I'm not going to say my teacher's name, but my teacher in the 5th grade and my parents, they came up there, they had a conversation because I was messing around. And after that conversation was had, I'll never forget it. They said, okay, now we know what's up. We know what's going on. So guess what? Now Miss Such and Such, she can pop me in my head if something is going on. If I disrespect or if I do something that's out of line. And so that's really what like I said, this whole call is really about raising the awareness of bringing that back, because I believe we could really help change the next generation of children by creating a village or a community of accountability. If we create a community of accountability.
one thing that is coming to my mind right now, importance of being able to face any type of challenging situation in a peaceful state. So when you come to this and you are in this angry mindset and you're ready to fight, any other could happen.
Right.
You're not coming there to have a civil conversation with someone to try to get to the heart of what happened and try to work out an amicable resolution of the situation. You're coming up there upset. Somebody in the chat mentioned they would have done had they come to the school. And
Right.
had they done that, guess what would have happened? The police would have been called, and then you as a parent would be sitting in jail, unable to handle your family situation because you're behind bars, because you acted out of the wrong state of mind to deal with something rationally and logically. That's
Which
one
is
thing.
some of the
Yeah.
parents need guidance, which is where the
Mhm.
village will come in. So
Right.
I want to make sure everybody has some time to talk. We have a couple other people um, backstage right now. So what I can do, Vince, I'm going to bring up someone else, and then I'll bring you back up. Eventually, I'll have everybody on at once. I
Okay.
appreciate you, but like I said, I will. I'm going to bring you back up. All right. So next we have Mr. Marcus Lester. He's on. I don't know his stance. I don't know if he's for or against, but we're going to bring him on and just hear what he has to say about the situation. What's going on, Marcus? Can you hear me?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me pretty good?
Yep. Everything is good. How you been?
No complaints, man. How about yourself?
Good. Same. Aquacopia.
Yeah, man. I don't know
So,
quite what that means, but I dig it. But
I know it
but yeah,
says
man. It's
the
good.
same, man, the same in Swahili. So,
Okay.
what is your stance? What is your stance on the situation? Not knowing the details about what's going on, and you can kind of go over whatever it is that you want to touch on about it.
Okay. All right. So as far as what I can tell, that's an I would say it's like it's an old school mentality. Coming from where I come from, it takes a village to raise a child. So I don't know how about the rest of the panel, but I'm from the deep south. I'm from originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and right now living right outside of Atlanta. So I come from that old school mindset. I mean, even when I was in, I can think back when I was in middle school. I remember a time where I was under corporal punishment. So that means you get sent to the principal's office. Parents sign off on a form that say you can get paddled. So I come from that era, and I was, I remember in middle school distinctly. One day we were waiting to go to PE, but we were outside of the lunchroom, waiting on to get in gym class, and the class was loud. The vice principal, he was an old school, kind of reminds you of you ever seen Lean on Me? Morgan Freeman character. He kind of reminds you of that type of guy. And he paddled the whole class. He didn't ask any questions. Everybody was keeping up for us. He went down the line, and our parents thanked him for that. So I come from that old school mentality. Like if me and one of my friends were outside and we got into a fight, parents didn't ask questions. I got a whooping by the guy's mom. I fought. Then I got a whooping when I got home. Same thing for him. So I totally get that. And like Mr. Vince was saying, I agree with him. We need to be able to police our own communities. Back in the day, I grew up in the hood or whatever you would call it, and we settled a lot of our issues ourselves within the community. You had grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, moms, dads, and it's a lot of times just the local guys we looked up to who kept the young cats in line and not let us go down the path that they went down. So we policed ourselves, and if we had to call the police, it was beyond what we can control at that point. So it wasn't like every issue. It wasn't like if I got whooped by my neighbor's mom, my mom didn't ask any questions. She asked, "What did he do?" It wasn't a "Don't touch my child." And I just think about parents nowadays. You got parents are, sometimes maybe less than a generation older than the kids they're having. So, they're still growing up themselves and they haven't had a chance to become adults. So, you have a disconnect and you have people not being honest about what their child could be doing. Like in my neighborhood right now, and I live in a pretty I guess you would say it's kind of an upper echelon area. Moved over here for the school system in particular in the gated area. But every now and then, it's a couple of young men that cause problems, and their names always coming up around here. So I mean, I literally had to pull them to the side a couple of weeks ago and talk to them about black men in the state, in the state of America now, being young black men, even if you are not causing the problem, the people you're with will take you down and have you in more trouble than they are. So it takes that mentality. And once again, I got parents that thank me for talking to their young men. I was like, you don't have to thank me for that. That's something we should do without saying. It should go without saying. And I haven't personally ran into that problem where I bumped heads because I said something to somebody's child. And I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, I think that's just where I come from. That's normal. You know, your child is out of line, no questions. Parents talk, okay, my child was out of line. I handled him. Thank you. And we move on. Like I said, that's just the way I grew up.
Right, absolutely. And so you grew up with morals and a understanding of respect for the elders because of your environment, because the environment was the neighbors, the environment
Absolutely.
was the teachers and the coaches at school. So our environment has turned into, now today, it's an unaccountability type of environment, an environment where people are afraid to say something to people's kids because we've got this generation of, if you spank a child with a belt, it's abuse, and you could lose your child to, to child's job and family services and things like that. So, where did that come in, and was that by design? Was that by design to break up the village structure that we once had? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring Vince back on. Vince, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
And if you were tuning in, you were listening to what Marcus was saying. I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that.
No, he's absolutely correct. We had a certain way of dealing with things down south, and some of those things surfaced up north because of migrations that occurred in different times in our history because of industry. Black folks were moving up to Chicago, New York, and Detroit to get those good factory jobs, and when they did, they brought those Southern values with them. So I've heard countless stories of how you would act up down the street and you would get a whooping by that woman who saw you do what you did. And then when you got home, you got another whooping because the parents didn't appreciate you having to have somebody else discipline you for something that you weren't supposed to do in the first place. And that's the
Right.
classic example of how certain African cultural paradigms have surfaced in our lives. I was telling you this morning about what happens in Qua. When somebody in the village messes up, they got to report to the chief. So when somebody comes to them with that staff with the red ribbon on it, that means put down whatever you're doing right now and come now and get dealt with, and whatever the consequences are, those consequences are. But you ain't calling the police. I remember when I was in Ghana back in 2017, I think it was, there was a young lady who had a cell phone and she didn't keep her eye on it, and her cell phone actually got stolen. Now, crime is not running rampant in Ghana, so I don't want people to get the wrong impression about that, because I've stayed in places where you could leave something out on the front stoop and come back the next day and it would still be there. But the fact of the matter is somebody stole her cell phone, and word got out that that cell phone got stolen. Never found out who stole the cell phone, but we know whoever it was, they got dealt with, and it wasn't the police that dealt with them. So that's the African way. That's what we do as Africans here in America.
Right. Absolutely. So again, it goes back to the environment. Like you were saying, Vince, that accountability And now what I know about the masses, what I know about wanting to be socially accepted and social pressure, right? If imagine a kid walking down the street, and if they throw a rock at a car and somebody sees that, anybody sees that, they correct them. They correct them right then and there on the spot. And that's everybody. That now begins to change the community, and that begins to change children's outlook on what they can get away with. Because now there's an environment of accountability, and we don't have that. How do you think that that's something that we can incorporate back into our communities? What's the solution to making that our environment again, making that our culture again? What has to happen? What are some things that we can do to begin to take the steps to bring that back?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to begin doing is respecting each other and respecting adulthood. You know, I live in the hood. I live in Glenville in Cleveland. And sometimes I observe children acting up. I look out the window, I see somebody dropping trash or whatever. If I took the time to correct that child, I have to deal with an angry parent who's upset that I corrected their parents. So when they come to me, they're coming with the spirit of disrespect. They're coming looking for a fight. Is it appropriate for the child to do what they did? No. Did the child need correction? Yes. But the other part of that equation is the fact that you don't have enough influence on your child for that child to know that that's not the appropriate thing to do, to leave some trash in somebody else's yard. Right. You know, that's disrespectful to me as a property owner. But the child doesn't have respect because the child has not been taught respect in their home. I grew up in a military family, and I can remember being 7 years old, 8 years old. If I'm addressing an adult, I'm saying, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Today's society, a child will call you by your first name. I'm 64 years old. If I'm having a conversation someone who is my elder, I'm calling him Mr., I'm calling her Ms., whatever. I'm giving that person their respect. But respect is largely absent in our community. And part of the reason is because we don't take children through rites of passage in which they learn what their responsibilities are. And they know that they are supposed to give respect to people. In the African cultural tradition, many times you can tell what somebody's status is by what they're wearing. People have different ways of dressing that let you know. So even if you see them not dressed in a certain kind of way, because the village is a village and you know everybody, you're going to give them that respect. You're going to give them respect just based on the age. If you walk into a room and there's an elder in that room, you address that elder. You don't ignore them. See, but we have a lot of disrespect going on in our families and in our communities. So what we have to do is get back to a place where we teach respect to our children. We take them through rites of passage, and then we equip them to be responsible adults.
Right. And how do we get through the parents that are already, do we give up on this generation? And do we just focus on the next generation? Or, you know, that parent that would come at you disrespectful like that, it's almost like maybe they're too old to be, you know, taught something, or it's almost like an adult talking to an adult, or an adult feels like they're talking to an adult. Even if the young lady or the young man is 21 through 25, they would feel like they are your peer, right? They wouldn't look at you as the elder. So it's like, how do we get over that? How do we get past that hurdle?
You know, this is what I would say to that.
I want to jump in.
When it comes to the elders, you know, like, first of all, you know, like I said, being from the South, I think, you know, a lot of that was carried up north when, you know, the Great Migration happened, when people migrated from Alabama to Detroit, from, you know, Mississippi to Chicago, and so on. I think we've got to get back to that. Somebody has got to take the lead. Like my generation now, so I'm 41. So I'm seeing a shift in my generation. I'm seeing people kind of stepping out here and there. Like I'm a co-founder of a mentoring group back home, and we mentor young men. So we picked up. I mean, we've been around like almost 7 years, but it's taken 7 years to get more males on board to get into that cycle to give back to young men, because a lot of them were still going through those rites of passage to become men. So you can't teach what you're not. You can't give people what you don't have. So a lot of those young men are still being groomed and molded into what they're supposed to be. A lot of them are late, coming of age later than you would have, back in, let's say, the 60s and the civil rights generation. With what happened, you had a lot of people who had to walk a different walk in adulthood at a younger age. Now, pop culture has kind of set the cycle for the generations we're seeing now. They're making certain stuff popular that it's things now adults doing that I did when I was a teenager. Let me put it like that. And it's taking people longer to get into the adult realm of life to even understand these things. So, but those of us who are there have to take the lead and take the charge and begin to reach back. As you can see on my post a lot of time on Facebook, social media. That's what I use my social media for. I'm not on here trying to. It's not a popularity contest. I'm putting back the knowledge that I've gained, the rites of passage that I've gone through to become a man. And I think the journey of a man in particular, you go from a boy to a man to a husband to a father to a father's father. I think that's the journey we go on, and we pass those things down back through the generations. Like I said, these rites of passage set the way. The same thing for young women. I can't speak to that because I'm not a woman, but they go through rites of passage, and there's certain, like you said, you see it in Africa a lot. It's like the blueprint is there. We don't have to recreate anything. We just have to, make the pattern fit our culture and our society, and we have to recreate that. It doesn't start latter. It starts now. Those who are know better. If you know better, you do better. That's what accountability comes in. And then on top of accountability, you have to have integrity. Just doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, regardless of you get a pat on the back or not. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You set the example, you set the mold, and you pass it on. You teach the next generation, and so on. So that's what we got to get back to doing. And Mr. Robinson, I'm glad you always referencing African culture. One thing I know about African culture is they tell stories, and that's passed down from generation to generation. A lot of times, stories about how a family or a tribe became what they are. And in down south, I don't know if you're familiar with the people back home that still do this, but they make the older women, matriarchs of the family, they make quilts. And in the quilts tells the story of your bloodline and what happens, and they usually pass it on to the next generation of women, and they put their generation story into the quilt, and it's passed on down and so on. So those are things we have to get back to. The dialogue is important. Like Delante knows, I have a golf blog. I love playing golf, but I use golf as a point of having conversations when you're playing golf. That's my whole aim, is to tell stories when you're playing golf, because it's a game of strategy, it's a game of focus, but it's a place and time where you can have dialogues on the course about those things. You can have those stories, and you can begin to pass them along. We have to be creative like that, and just begin to create new normals with that, but telling along the same lines of what's been done in our culture for years.
Because I want to commend you for being a golfer. I'm a golfer myself, and I know Delante might swing in the clubs a little bit now too. But I just want to say that it's important for everyone who can do something to do something. You mentioned having a mentoring group. That's responsible because it's going to impact somebody's life. May not affect 1 million people. You may not affect 1,000 people. But if you affect 10 people, those young folks whose lives you affect now, going to remember that when they get to be your age. And because you modeled that kind of behavior, it's very possible that they will do that too. So it's good to talk about it, but it's more important to be about it and to do that, and to know that everything that you do, every little thing that you do makes an impact. I heard something the other day that said, think globally, but act locally. Because people acting on a local basis can make a difference in the lives of others. You know, people tell me all the time, oh man, you should be on CNN, you should be on MSNBC. Well, maybe it wasn't meant for me to do that. But with the tools that I have, including StreamYard, I can create broadcasts just like Delante is doing and draw people into conversations in which they can learn something. Is it 1 million people? No. Is it 100,000 people? No. But this very set on YouTube, all the way over in Australia, all the way over in the Netherlands and Europe. I got brothers and sisters in Africa today, you know. So I know that what I'm doing is making a difference. And I want something else, Africa. We romanticize it because it is a part of our history. But so many of us are completely disconnected from understanding what really happened there. And the truth of the matter is, some of our brothers and sisters over on the continent have as many issues as we have when it comes to having effects of racism and colonialism. But what we can do is we can reach back, and that oral tradition that you talked about, Marcus, we can carry that oral tradition forward. That's why it's important for us to have these conversations with our elders and glean from them whatever we can about the history that they know about. And as long as we can continue to remember those who came before us, we can keep them alive by speaking of them and incorporating the memory of them into our daily lives. Because the truth of the matter is, their DNA is in us, and we are representing them. And it is our responsibility to carry out the missions that they initiated so many years ago.
That's good. Both of you guys brought up amazing points. The blueprint is already there. Like you said, we're not doing anything new or introducing anything new. We just need to remember. We need to remember what it is, you know, what we come from and how we used to operate. And that's amazing. I mean, that was amazing insight, Vince. We have somebody else that just came in. Dominique she's an Akron native, and I'll actually let her introduce herself and tell us who she is and what's her stance, you know, on this situation as far as the village and the Brandy Davis situation. Welcome to the call, Dominique. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Well, I would say amazing rising, but the sun is on the other side.
Right.
Now. So I'm Dominique. I'm a member of the ABA. Sorry about that. I go by the Brown Bow for a reason. I got a bar card. Never went to law school. Not a day. In July, I started intensively studying the law. July. Word. And I got the best understanding of everything that's going on here. Whether, you know, you want to talk about spiritually and where people came from and things like that. I really think that people should, you know, come out of the books, come out of the Bible and see what they put in legislation, and then go back and see what the law really said. And then when you learn it and you combine it together, you know what the Bible is really telling you. And I know they want to tell you from somewhere else, but I promise you, in myself I trust, and mind you, it's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States of America, and it's stamped on my birth certificate, and I have no problem putting that on here. Matter of fact, give me a second. So this is my birth certificate behind here. You know, I don't want to put my information all on there, but if I get a little closer for y'all to see, it says greetings, right? And also says, you know, by the way, this is backed by the full faith and credit. That means money of the United States of America, you know. But
so Dominique, as far as what you know about law and what happened between Miss Davis and the student, what is that looking like is going to turn into?
So I don't advise her to seek legal advice. I advise her to seek lawful advice. So if they're attorney at law, a lawyer at law, you know, she should
Gotcha.
get somebody that's in fact, and they exist right here. Okay. So this is my lawful opinion. I don't give legal advice. Okay. This is my lawful opinion.
Okay.
And I want to make a disclaimer. This is for entertainment purposes only. But it's lawful advice. So I'm going to give that. Okay.
Gotcha.
So in the situation of Brandy, and she working for this government entity, when you go anywhere, when you sign your kids up for school, when you sign them up to get a Medicaid card, when you take them downtown to get food stamps, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, okay? We just sign. They're gonna give us all this money, you know.
Right.
You know, we figure out any way to contract with the government, and we don't know how to sign our name. But that's besides the point. The point is, she got legal advice, okay? Through that lawful advice, this case wouldn't exist anymore. It wouldn't, okay? But when you sign your kids up for anything, you contract and you register them with the government. And you no longer have consent over your child. You're no longer the rightful owner of your child in law. And I dare any lawyer, any attorney to come sit next to me and say it and tell me I'm lying. So when they contracted, she had every right. She was in her legal and lawful realm at this time. You know, well, not lawful. She was in her legal realm of duties. Okay. I'm not saying it's lawful, but it's their law. But she was within her lawful, and I'm talking in legalities, realm to do that. Her relationship with the child, and not saying her relationship was outside of being that child's teacher. Okay. And I know Brandy personally, and I know I'm sorry, I get emotional about her and how she saved my life personally. My senior year, I was barely in school. I was working 2 jobs, trying to do my schoolwork, coming and dropping my papers off in the morning or right before school closed, trying to make sure my sister got to school all the way in Cleveland while I bought a car for her and caught the bus each and every way. And she was my saving grace. You know, so I know her personally. I know her personality. So for her to even, for there to even be an assumption that whatever happened, because I don't want to speak to that because I wasn't there. So whatever they're saying happened, it had to be more something behind it.
Right.
And it's a shame that in our community that we can be bought. We shouldn't be able to be bought by anybody. The dollar shouldn't make you do anything. And I guarantee you it shouldn't make you do anything if you knew what a dollar was.
Gotcha.
We need to be a better community to each other, and we need to start one.
Absolutely.
We need to talk about the law. Quit worrying about these books and where people came from. And I'm not saying disrespect your ancestors, but if you were born here, you are from here. You are from America. And when they say the land of the free, that's a real fucking thing. When they say the promised land in that Bible, and excuse my French, it's a real thing. It's a reality. And we need to do better with educating ourselves and studying to show ourselves approved.
Gotcha.
Let nobody teach us no more. That's my opinion. But yeah,
Well, thank you, Dominique.
canceled for her. If right. Brandy is canceled.
Right. Well, thank you, Dom. Thank you for your input. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you for coming on last minute. But we are nearing the end of the call. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for everything. Everybody that came on, Marcus, Mr. Robinson, Dom, I appreciate y'all coming on, giving y'all input. This wraps it up for Markup Mondays. The recording will be coming up. If you haven't already, go ahead and share this because I believe a lot of people need to be open to this conversation. That's what it's about, is really raising awareness. That's where it starts. In order for us to correct the problem, first we have to know there is a problem. So That wraps it up for this call, though. I will catch you guys next Monday. To the team, I will see you in the chats on the charts. And remember to always stay safe, stay dangerous. All right, y'all. Thank you.